And we are live. What's up, everyone? This is Fitz. I am the host of the Let's Argue podcast. That's right, the Let's Argue podcast. For those of you who do not know, this is your first time tuning in. This is my channel. What I like to do is dissect Black culture through comedy, debate, and just cover current events. And tonight we're going to be talking about men, women, relationships, and splitting the bills. Splitting the bills. But before we get into it, I just want to thank everyone that is supporting the channel. We are now close to 700 subscribers, still pushing for that 1,000 subscriber mark to hit that goal. That will be a huge accomplishment for me. I started this channel back in like April, May, I think, maybe a little later, like June 2023. Started it, posted a couple of videos, wasn't really consistent, just posting videos here and there. Really started to get more consistent around December, so about a month ago. And since then, subscribers have gone up, views have gone up, comments, engagement, all that great stuff have gone up. So I do want to thank everyone who's been showing support, everyone who has been liking, who's been commenting, and who's been sharing, which brings me to my next point. We have merch now. All right. There is merch available now. I'm going to give you guys just real quick, show you what we're working with. And if you want to get something, get something. If not, don't do it. But just want to show you some of the merch. All right. So right here, we got just the basic t-shirt. This is premium. We got the gray, charcoal gray, dark heather gray, and white. We got the hoodie, of course. That will come in sport gray, black, charcoal, blue. I like this one personally. And white. Crew neck t-shirt, black, gray. It is cold a little, depending on where you're at. So maybe copy one. Maybe get the pullover hoodie, get the crew neck shirt. Either way, however you want to show support to the channel, or just like, comment, share the content. That always helps as well. All right. So tonight we're talking about masculinity, right? Can you still be a man and go 50-50 on bills with your woman? Can you be a man and go 50-50 on bills with your woman? All right. Now, this is a topic that has been spoken about in length, not only online, right? Not only online through the Red Pill community, through these other YouTubers like Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, Kevin Samuels, but it's also been spoken about throughout history, okay? It's been spoken about through history. How do we divide the responsibilities of the household? How do we divide those? How do we divide domestic labor, which is household work? How do we divide who pays bills, who does this, who does that? So let's put it in perspective, in context. All right. Wage work in the United States, and we're going to talk about the United States, okay? Wage work within the United States was not always the norm, meaning you didn't always go to a job, get a paycheck, and then bring that paycheck home in order to survive. Many people used to live in what's called an agricultural society, meaning they own land, they tilled the land, or they worked the land, and then they used whatever they yielded, harvested, to live off of, and the remainder they would barter and trade, things like that, for what they needed. Okay, so this idea that women in particular have throughout history just sat at home taking care of the kids while the man went out and earned a paycheck, false, right? In many of these societies, the women were also working. They may not have been doing paid labor, but they were working, right? And I'm going to connect it as we move forward. But they were working, right? They didn't have washer machines at a certain point. Them women were down there by the rivers scrubbing that ketchup out, right? They didn't have ketchup at some point, but you get what I'm saying. They was in the river scrubbing. They was carrying 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds on their shoulders and taking it here and do like they were putting in physical work. They were putting in physical labor. So it's interesting, and I'm going to connect it, right? It's interesting that now when we think of men and their relationships to women, and we think of a man, we think of this man is paying all the bills while his woman is chilling at home. Right? She's living the good life because that's how it's always been, right? If you're a real man. That's what people would lead you to believe who are talking on this issue within the red pill community. As if the top men or whatever, their women have never had to struggle. Their women never had to work. They just chilling, right? That's not how it went. In fact, in the early 1900s, many women were still doing laborious work. They just weren't getting paid for it, like I said. And also, and this is a point I'm going to bring up later on in the discussion. Again, many times when women did not work, it's because they were trying to protect the ego of their husband. I'll say that again. Many times, women, the household would have benefited if women were going and doing paid labor, but they did not do it because it would have brought shame and it would have hurt the ego of their man. And that relates to today, okay? That relates to today because, and we're going to play a video. There is this movement out there, this movement that says, if you're a man, you should never need help. If you're a man, you should do any and everything for your woman, for your family, no matter if it makes financial sense, no matter if it makes emotional sense, physical sense for your body. You should be responsible for everything. All right. Even if she went to college and can get paid more than you or gets paid around the same, you should take care of everything. She should do nothing because that's just what being a man is, right? There's this unrealistic idea of being a man, right? You're not a man if she pays half the bill. You're not a man if you go on dates and you don't pay. You're not a man if, you're in a marriage and she earns more than you. You're not a man if, you're a loving father and show emotions. All of these stipulations on manhood. And we're going to get into why it is many men are not secure within their masculinity because there's so many requirements to be a man. But guess what? Many of the requirements are simply social requirements. So that's the good thing. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to live how the rich people online who have their money and can afford the expensive cars. You don't have to live how they're living in order to be a man, in order to be a provider, in order to be a protector, because some of them would have you believe that if you're not pulling up to the house in a Lamborghini, if you're not pulling up to the house in that Rari, right? If you're not backing into the driveway with the leather steering wheel in the Ferrari, they want you to believe that you're not really a man. If you don't have a big expensive watch that costs $50,000, you're not a man, right? All of these things you need to do to be a man. But I rarely hear them talk about fatherhood. Why? Many of these red pill people that you see online, just look at them. They're not fathers. They're not even husbands. But they want to tell you that you should follow them, right? They want you to believe that their version of manhood is the best. When was the last time that you took advice from somebody that didn't have what you wanted? Right? These are the people that are telling you how to be a good husband, but they're not married and haven't been married. These are the people telling you how to be good fathers, but they don't have children, because they understand the content gets views, right? One of the most saturated markets right now is the relationship market, relationship advice giving market. And that's not what this podcast is meant to do. This episode right here in particular is meant to highlight the fact that men are being told they are not men unless their paycheck says they are a man, which is false. I know plenty of great men who their paycheck, they're living paycheck to paycheck. Let's be real. All right. They're living paycheck to paycheck, but they would give someone the shirt off their back. They love their children. They have good character. They're honest, right? So understand, as we move into this conversation, when we talk about manhood, it's not how much money did you make? Is she paying? Are you paying all the bills? We're going to get into it. But we got our co-host Ty in the building. I'm going to bring him up, introduce him. What's going on?
Yo, sorry I'm late. Had to do my manly duties, my masculine duties.
No problem. No problem, brother. let the people know who you are, and we're going to dive right into it.
Yo, for all the new folks, they call me T to the Y. You can catch me on Instagram at _royalflagging_. For all your dog training tips, needs. What else? We got a podcast coming soon for that. And then, yeah, if you want mentorship with your dog or just in life, reach out to your boy. Catch me on the Let's Argue podcast on Fridays.
Let's see.
This man,
all right.
How you get curly hair, bro? What's going on?
I got curly. I got that. What's that thing? It's like it looks like a racket.
Okay.
Like a tennis racket, and you go like this with it.
Hey, that boy, look, that boy got the beard line up, got the.
Hey, boy, hey. I'm ready for this conversation. Hey, they gonna come for me. These other podcasters, they gonna come for me, and they gonna be talking all this talking. So I had to get right. All right. So,
baby.
All right. I want to play a video to get it going, just to give, because this is the video that I saw that really prompted the topic for tonight. This is the video that I saw. So let me share that. So this is the video that I saw, and we're going to react to this video.
And if I'm going 50-50 with my woman, it's hard, brother. You sitting up here, your nice house, your nice jewelry, nice cars. Oh yeah, man, you gotta do 100%. How, brother? If I'm making $14 an hour, what you expect? You know, you still on there. Oh yeah, man, 100%. You're not a man. You're not a man. How? I'm still working. I'm still providing, right? So what makes me not a man? Because I'm going 50-50 with my woman.
And brother,
all right,
brother.
So right there, do you think that if you're going 50-50 with your woman, do you think that makes you less of a man?
I say in my experience, no. I don't. Like you said earlier, men nowadays tie their worth to a paycheck. And I think that's because of a lot of women's mentality today of, well, my man needs to be making 6 figures. He needs to be doing this. He needs to be buying my hair, buying my doing my nails, all these things. I think people need to be realistic about their situations and what they're capable of doing. I don't mind going 50-50, and it doesn't have to be, I think a lot of people think it's split. Like, oh, you pay this half of the bills, you pay this half of the bills. For me, depending on the person, I might be like, I'll take care of the rent and all the utilities. You just take care of the groceries, car insurance, like the little things that aren't as big, especially if I'm making more money. But I'm cool with it, man. I think that's what a partnership is, and I think we lead in certain situations, and then we let them lead in certain situations.
Okay, so interesting. Leadership. Here's me pushing back. If you're the leader of the house,
right?
Why are you going 50-50, or why is she even taking care of any bills if you're supposed to be the leader? Like, how can you properly lead when your finances aren't saying you're the leader?
Well, let me ask you this. Are we talking strictly from a marriage level, or are we talking boyfriend and girlfriend?
Let's break it down with both. Let's start with boyfriend and girlfriend, because that's where
boyfriend and girlfriend, if you guys are living together, yes, I think 50-50 is probably the best, just for you guys to get on your feet. I think that if your partner is going to follow you as a leader, you need to make the best decisions for not only yourself, but also for her as well. And you guys together as a unit. So when people say, oh, well, you're not a leader if you don't make, 6 figures, bro, I'm just starting off and I'm making, let's just say I start off and I make 50 grand. Hey, that's okay. 50 grand is a lot when you know how to manage your money. If you're not managing your money correctly, then no.
But
go ahead.
Let's step back, because are you saying when you're married you plan on doing the 100%, but not now because you're boyfriend and girlfriend?
I think when you get married, there's a certain level of commitment, and you guys step into a new level, which requires you to reevaluate finances. Because I might make more money than her in her whole entire career. She might be okay with just working her little job that makes, let's just say, 50K a year, right? I might start off at 50K, but then jump to 70 or 80. Then I can take on a little bit more because I can do more.
But let's keep it apples and apples. You're making the same amount as a boyfriend and girlfriend as marriage.
Okay.
Does that responsibility go up when you're a husband, or is it you're still 50-50 when you get married? Everything's the same.
I'm with the 50-50, but it depends on the person. Because there might be somebody.
If you're marrying them, then that's that's your wife.
Right. But some of these people got wives and girlfriends that they don't really care to do 100% for. You feel me?
But if that's your wife, what are you talking about?
There's some women out there that people have married,
but I'm saying you.
Oh, but me.
Yeah, with you. If you got a girlfriend, if you have a girlfriend, and you're going 50-50 with her, and then y'all get married, and everything's the same, finances are the same.
Yeah.
Do you take on more of the finances because you guys are married now, or does it stay the same as it was when you were just boyfriend and girlfriend?
I think it stays the same until we have that conversation years later down the road, if we last years later down the road.
But why wouldn't you have that conversation before you get married? Like, isn't that a marriage conversation? Hey, how much of the bills are you thinking?
You gonna marry somebody? You gonna marry every person you date?
Nah, this is a situation where you're dating them, and then you marry them.
Okay, so we're like 5 years in, type of thing.
However long it is before you marry somebody, I'm saying you're boyfriend and girlfriend, and then you guys get married.
Yeah.
This is assuming that you've had the conversations like, we're getting married. What are your expectations of the bills? Who pays for what? And I'm saying with that conversation, let's talk about the conversation. Yeah. Your boyfriend and girlfriend, you're talking to your girl, and you're saying, if I marry you, I'm gonna be responsible for X percent of bills. What is that conversation?
For me, I would say it's gonna be about where we're at financially, right? Both our salaries, what we can afford, and what's big bills versus small bills. And on top of that, what season are we in at this moment? Because she might not be in a season where she's working full time. She might want to go part time to take care of the kids, do all those extra things of that nature.
Got kids already before marriage.
Maybe we can say yeah.
Okay.
Once I get married to have kids, come on, bro.
No, I'm just trying to put it in the context.
No, I'm saying, like if we were planning to have kids, she could go part-time for work or even potentially not work. It's just a conversation that we'd have to have, and I'd have to, if we're getting married, then I'm gonna have some type of trust and be able to depend on her to hold up some type of end of I guess you could say it's a deal, a contract. Hold up her end on doing the things that she says she's gonna do when we have that conversation. So
what do you want to pay? Like, what do you want what is the goal? I get that when you first get married, maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you can't do 100%, right? Is there a goal in your mind to pay 100%, or are you of the mindset that it doesn't matter? There's no goal for me to pay 100%. The expectation is 50-50 or whatever, no matter what. Like, what is
there's no goal, and there's not really an exact percentage, because I think it's going to vary depending on how things go in your life. So it might be times where I can pay 70% and she pays 30, and they might switch. She might be able to match it, where we do 50-50, or she does 60-40. So it's just about what type of level that we're on and the understanding that we have. I don't mind the 50-50. I think the 50-50 is a great way to start off. But it depends on the goals that we have, things we want to do later on in life, because if we're doing 50-50, then what are we doing with the extra money? Where's that extra money going to? Are we saving it? Are we spending it on our own stuff outside of our money together? Those are the things that I would think about as well. So if we're doing 50-50, cool. If it's 70-30 sometimes, 60-40, cool.
Okay.
They don't make me what they say, a weak man or not a man or a simp. This guy.
So you don't even have a goal. You don't even have a goal of, I want to take care of everything.
No.
I don't want my wife to have to work if she doesn't want to work. You don't even have that goal.
No.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So some would say then to that you not even having the goal of, I don't want my wife to have to work. That's not you being a true leader. That's not you stepping up and being a man, because you're not even giving her the option to not have to work if she doesn't want to. I mean, I've heard in the past, with women, you wouldn't want a woman to be like, okay, she wants to be a mother, but we're going to wait and see if she can be a mom. You kind of want to see those qualities in her beforehand.
Right.
I mean, do you think that a man who doesn't even have a goal to not have his wife working, that he's being a proper provider? Like, because some people would say not even having the goal, you're not stepping up so that she can be the stay-at-home mom, or she can focus on all these other things.
Right.
Because what extra are you going to be doing?
Right. So you're asking, repeat the question again. So we don't have a goal.
Or you don't have a goal. Like,
I don't have a goal.
You don't have a goal,
mm-hmm.
and it's just up in the air as far as who's going to be taking care of what.
Right.
But her things are kind of set in stone. Like, if you guys want children, who's going to be taking care of the children? Who's going to be doing? So if you don't have the goal to not have her working at a certain point, and she's still expected to take care of the children, how do you work through that?
Communication, man, and comprehension. I think if she decides, because it's ultimately up to her. And let me say this. I think a lot of men, especially nowadays, view women as property. First of all, my wife is not my property. She's her own human being, and she can make her own decisions if she wants to work or don't want to work. Whatever's fine with me.
The option, though. I'm not talking about you making her stay home. I'm saying if she didn't want to work.
No, I'm just clarifying for the people.
Okay.
I want to be like, oh yeah, she got to. I'm not doing that. She has an option to work or not. If she decides, hey, I don't want to work, I want to be a full-time mom, take care of the kids, handle things at home. Cool. I'm good.
Life changes communication. I mean, that's true. Life does change.
The thing about me is that I'm always going to improve. So if we ever get to a point where she's like, I want to stay home, it's not going to be really much of a big, huge conversation where it's like, damn, we're going to have to cut back on this, this, and this because we don't have enough money. So that's why it's not really a goal, because the point is to improve to the point where if she lost her job, I got us. Or, our house burned down, I got us. Like, I'm always gonna I have a safety net regardless of what happens. So if she decides to wake up and be like, hey, I'm taking care of the 4 kids, cool. I want to have 4 kids. Cool.
He keep adding them kids up in there out of nowhere.
Because I mean, eventually you do have kids. That's an added expense. And again, I think how your partner plays a role in if you have that motivation to want to improve and want to be able to provide for them as a provider and a leader. Because there's some women out there that it's like, I don't want to go 100% for you because you scandalous. I'm with you, but you scandalous.
Well, let me ask you this, or let me present a situation for you, and you let me know what you think. All right, you're a kid. Let's say you're a kid who comes from little to no means. You don't really have anything, right?
Yep.
You don't have options, but you can play a sport, football, basketball, whatever. And this is your goal. This is what you have to do in order to make it, right? You don't see any other outlet. You don't see any other way.
Yep.
That's kid A. Then you have kid B, who they can play the sport, but they have other options. Their parents can send them to college. They have access to resources, all these things. That's kid B. Which one do you think is going to go harder and probably go further in that sport? Kid A, who this is their only option, or kid B, who they have other options?
Kid B. Because if I have so many other options, that means I'm good at multiple things. I'm not just good at one specific thing. Because
I'm talking about the sport. So, like, who do you think will do better at that sport? Like, not in life, but in that sport. The one that
both.
You think they both gonna be? Because I heard Deion Sanders one time say, when I'm recruiting for certain positions, for that position, I want the kid that came from nothing in this position. Because this is the position of where, if you don't have that dog in you, if you don't have that thing, you're not going to make it in this position. And the kids that have options, it's easy for them to quit because they can go do this. But the kid that don't have options, they're going to stick with this. So I guess what I'm getting at is, like, let's say that it's you and your girlfriend, your wife, and you have a goal and that says, I'm going to take care of 100% of these things, and she's not working anymore. I think when there's that pressure to have to do 100%, you go further than if there's not that pressure, because it's this or nothing. Like, if you don't make this work, it all falls apart.
Right.
But when you're splitting it, or there's that option of safety net over here, you may not go as hard. What do you think about that?
I think that's a very jaded perspective, especially coming from Deion Sanders. If I'm kid B and I got a lot of options, right? I'm able to go to college for free. I'm able to go to trade school, do whatever, right? The sport isn't my only way out. That's not going to change my intensity the way I play it either. Because I think with that, you have to operate at a certain level to have those options. Just because you have those options doesn't mean you can go in there and just be mediocre. You got to be good at all those things on all levels. So with the kids who just pour all this into one thing, they're not learning how to be a leader. They're not learning how to be a provider. because they're only pouring into one thing. I like Kid B because he has other avenues, but his mind is going to be open to a lot of other things, which means open perspectives and different ideologies. This kid over here is just going to be strictly this one ideology. This is what it is. I don't like that because I'd rather be Kid B to be able to learn new perspectives so I can be better for my wife, for my kids if we have kids, better for myself, better in my job. So to me, that's the way my mind works.
So I think overall, yes, in life, if you have a very, I think I was specifically talking about that activity. Like there are
sports, it's the same.
Like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was very narrow-minded about basketball. He put it above his family much of the time. He was still a good father. I'm not saying he wasn't a good father and husband, but he was very narrow-minded when it came to basketball. Like that's what he was focused on. Other people were focused on basketball and going to the club and doing this and doing that. But Kobe Bryant's one of the greatest of all times. And what I hear from the greats is you kind of have to be narrow-minded, not to be average or, good or compete. You can do that. But if you want to take it as far as you can at a certain level, you have to be narrow-minded. I mean, do you agree with that? Or do you think getting pulled and tugged in all these different directions is more useful than being narrow-minded at a certain level?
Again, I think Kid B, Kid A can operate at the same level. Kid A is going to have more of that, maybe some of that grit, some of that rawness to him versus Kid B. Those are going to be the difference makers in them. Narrow-minded, I come from both. I was Kid A for a while, now I'm Kid B. And now I feel like I had to learn how to have Kid A at Kid B. I had to learn how to still have that dog in me, but it was in different scenarios and operated a different way compared to just being narrow-minded. I mean, I think they both work.
You think you're hungry? You think you're hungrier now than 10 years ago?
100%.
You were damn lying.
What you mean?
You was out there pushing cars.
Yeah. That's still a part of the program. I get up every morning and go run 3 miles on the trails every morning. Cold, sunshine, rain. Can't really run in the snow because they close the trail. It's the same. It's just I operate a different way now. This guy, I operate a different way, brother.
You were lying. You were lying.
Yo, I operate in a different way.
Nah, personally, I think I was hungrier back then than now. I mean,
I disagree.
I'm hungry now, but I think I was hungrier back then. Here's what I'll tell you.
Nah, you were cruising.
Nah. There's a time where I was working graveyards.
Yeah.
6 p.m., 2:30 a.m.
All right.
Get off work. And for a certain time, my dad worked where I worked, and he lived like 20 minutes from the job site. Yeah. And I would get off 2:30 a.m., take him home, and then get home at like 3:30-ish. So, and then be up and in class at like 9:30, 10 in college a.m. And this went on. Like I was working a full-time job and going to college at the same time.
Right.
And I did that for years. Working college. And I was just narrow-minded on it. And I think now, have more money, have more things. I'm not as hungry. Like I can still, I'm still hungry, but there's not that desperation. There's not that, like I'm in poverty, like I'm living better than I thought I would be living when I was younger. So there's not that nagging feeling that there was back then. I'm still trying to recapture that. So I kind of fell off a little bit. I kind of fell off.
Yeah, it happens. I don't know. I think once you get to different levels, you don't have to. I think when you're younger, you come from, maybe a more financially unstable background to now. You have to operate at a different level because you can't operate the same. because it's going to jeopardize certain things you got going for yourself. That's why I said with Kid B, you can still have that hunger, but take it into different settings and it still win. So Kid B is going to have more money than Kid A playing a sport. Like Deion's got money, right? He played football, baseball. He got money. I mean, he got money, bro. But there's somebody else that's doing half of his work, but more effectively and getting paid more money more effectively. So that's my mindset now is like, I still have that hunger, but I'm using it in a better way rather than being so desperate. Because back then I would have took any opportunities. Now it's more of creating those opportunities that I want for myself to be in those settings and to be able to continue to improve as a leader. I'm a better leader now than I was back then. A better provider than I was back then. Because back then it was like, I didn't care about family. Football this guy. Football was everything. So now I think I'm an overall better leader than I am now than I was before.
No, I feel it. I think from that perspective, I am too.
I still got that dog though. Don't get it twisted. Can't nobody outwork me. We'll both be on the stretcher and I'll still be winning. Fitz, no. We was out there pushing my car.
Let's see what else they got to say.
I applaud you because I understand that it is hard out here, but we are men, so we have to go harder. I'm not saying or trying to speak down to you, my brother, by any means necessary. I'm not. But I want you to be reminded of something that our fathers didn't teach us, that we must go hard and that we shouldn't get into a relationship with a woman until we have direction.
I'm not a man. Say that.
A person that cares, a person that loves you, a person that's been in your shoes and understands how it feels when we can't give our family what they truly deserve. We have to go hard. Now, give me one moment. I've been in your shoes. And when I was in your shoes, I stayed in my lane. I lived where I lived. My woman didn't work. She nurtured to the children till I got this. And I'm trying to give you the cheat code. Do what you need to do so you can feed your woman. And while she's nurturing the children, she can also nurture your dreams.
Okay, so right here, something I didn't pick up before was he's talking to him and he's trying to school him. He's saying, hey, look, you need direction in your life before you get in a relationship, right? But then he goes on to talk about, well, you need to be working and she's staying at home with the children. Why do you have children though, if you don't have the direction? So it's okay to have children without direction, but it's not okay to be in a relationship without direction. So it's like he's talking out the side of his mouth. He's talking out the side of his mouth. He just said, you need direction. You need direction, right? But then he talks about, I was in your shoes. I was working and she was at home with the children. Well, why did you have children with her if you didn't have the direction to have the money that you're telling this man that he needs to have before he's even in a relationship? So you can go get in a relationship or you can go have children. That's cool without having the direction and balling out, but you can't go get in a relationship. It seems backwards right there. I just caught that.
I think a lot of people, when it comes to having kids, is always a blessing, or it was an accident, or they got so much support now, because I think women are supported the most when they're pregnant, never after the baby's born. It's when they're pregnant. You feel like you're on top of the world. You feel like you're going to be okay until all that support goes away. Then you don't have that support no more. A lot of people don't understand mentally what it takes to take care of a kid, what external factors that play a part in raising your kid. Because then you do the same old stuff that your parents did to you. And here's an interesting perspective I heard earlier this week. Parents will do everything for their kids that their parents didn't do for them. But they think that that's going to heal their inner child by doing the things for their kid that their parents didn't do for them. They think it's going to make a difference for them. which triggers the trauma and poverty and all those extra things that you and I've experienced. But people just they fall in love with the fantasy of it. Oh, I'm about to have a baby. The 9 months. That 9 months is different. Your wife is all pregnant, hormones going crazy. Y'all more in love. You taking care of her. You being a provider. All those things. Speak for yourself, brother. Hey, is that something that we need to know? What's going on? Yo, this man is wicked. For some of us, we enjoy the process. But people don't really think about after. It's the fantasy. It's the fantasy of this guy. It's a fantasy of no, you did not grab that. I know what you grabbed. Yo, this man is going crazy right now. Rey Mysterio. Yeah, man, people just fall in love with the fantasy. It don't really be realistic or logical. What's next? That's why I haven't had kids yet myself. Is because I want to focus more on different parts of me first before I do that. That way I can be better prepared and not be trying to fix myself when I have my kids. I'm trying to be the example that I want to set.
No, that's good advice. And I do want to say it. I didn't really have trauma like that. Yeah. When I dig deep.
Trauma subjective.
Right. Subjectively, I didn't. I was having fun. Let's see what else you got to say.
Well, and let me specify that. I think we had fun because it wasn't viewed as trauma then, right? But I think you and I specifically, and this is our generation, took on behaviors and attitudes and mindsets that didn't really fit us. But because we saw them around us all the time, we kind of took some of those things with us into teenage, college life, and adult life that we kind of had to address and be like, does this really serve me a purpose? Because I ain't operating the same like I was back then when I did need that mindset or that behavior. So I had to specify.
Like what? What behaviors do you think, you had that weren't really serving you, that you kind of had to shed like a snake?
I'd say the biggest two that I've strived to work on the hardest was having an attitude, being reactive to people and things that happen to me. Also, I would say mindsets about love, partners. I took on a lot from other people that this is what it's supposed to look like. And you need all these things, but I didn't really need all those things to be satisfied.
That's real. I know for me, I'll say I don't think it was necessarily trauma that I was shedding, but it was me coming more into myself. Pause. Me developing like some of the thoughts that I had, like for instance, I became more rigid. I became more jaded. I became more like conscious and step more into my blackness as far as some of the ideologies that I subscribe to, some of the ways that I just think about the world and things like that. Growing up, it was more they're teaching from a school perspective, social perspective, that Black people are victims. But then as I become an adult, it's more like, no, Black people are strong, Black people are powerful, and we have the power to change our situation. And so I started looking more into Black consciousness, helping the Black community, focusing on Black people, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
So you would say that you would say that stepping into that realm, essentially you shedded a lot of other stuff that you may have thought and adopted a new way of thinking, which has led you to be who you are now today.
Essentially, yeah. And it wasn't even that I would think about those things and they were affecting my daily life. It's just that when those things came up, I would just say stuff. Man, I hate police. Man, white people are evil. Man, I can't get a good job because of white people. I can't get a good car because of white people. Like, I would just say things that I would hear other people say, and I had ideas that were not based on my personal experience about police, about white people, about black people, about the world. But then when I got to college and I'm writing papers, and I'm writing the papers how I talk in real life in terms of like, white people don't like black people. Okay, where's your source? Cite that. Cite your source. Where are you getting that from?
Right.
And you can't just use your personal experience. You have to, like, where's the research that shows that? Because if you just use your personal experience, that could be biased. So we need actual research that shows that this is happening in a more general sense. Where's your source? And then you go look at the research, and then you're just like, oh, I can't really find anything. Well, wait a minute. Did I actually ever go through that? I didn't really go through that. And then you start thinking and thinking and thinking. And then I come to the conclusion, like, we being lied to. Okay, we have to now step up and solve our own problems. So that's kind of the mindset that I shed, was playing the victim. The victim, man.
When you said the cops, it made me think of that one time we got pulled over with the old girl in them.
Right, they was cool. They was cool. You was like,
the only time
I ain't been smoking. All right, guys. Well, your tail lights out. Just make sure you keep your hazards on until you get to the Walmart. I think he even gave us where one was or whatever. Make sure you keep your hazards on until you get over there, and then boom, fuse. Blah, blah. And then I had another experience as well with cops where I was moving from Colorado to Las Vegas, moving back, and my dad was coming down, and we were going to drive from Colorado Springs back to Nevada. And then my car had broke down on the way to Colorado Springs. Like, it broke down right as you get in Colorado Springs, exit 135, where you could go to the airport. So I turned left, and there's the community college right there, Pikes Peak Community College. Right. And I'm there. It's nighttime. My car isn't starting. It's not working. It's packed up with all my stuff in it. And I open the hood. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And then I get rolled up on by some cops. And I'm thinking, here we go. But they were super helpful. They were like, they had flashlights. They were shining the lights. They're like, oh, yeah, it's probably this, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, hey, there's this number you can call where the tow truck people will come and you can sell them your car. Like, they'll buy the car if it's not functioning and stuff like that, or you want to get off your hands. So what I did was I took a taxi to the airport to get my dad. I wasn't really old enough to get a rental car yet, but me and my dad have the same name. He didn't have a credit card. And you needed a credit card to get the rental car. I wasn't old enough to get the rental car. So I gave him my credit card, and he was able to use my credit card to rent the car because he was old enough to. And so we got the rental car, and the cops watched my stuff in the parking lot while we went and got the rental car and then brought it back and then loaded it up, right? So that was a positive experience. And then I got $200 for the car. I only paid $400 for the car, I think. So it's like, that was a positive experience for me. But if I'm just going off of what people say, as soon as they pull up, what you want? Like, I ain't doing nothing. Oh, you, because I'm black, I'm out here. Now you. It's like,
no.
So,
shout out Big Rob.
All right, let's see.
And your goals, now you can be successful. Now you don't have to say I'm working for $15. Now you can say I got employees that I'm paying that's working for me for $15. I'm trying to elevate you, but men get so caught in their emotions and their pride, and the first thing you want to do is feel attacked. Get the wisdom.
This is coming from a rich man.
But right now
This
you're
coming
acting
from a rich
triggered.
man.
But right now you're
But this
acting
is coming
triggered.
from a
But
rich
how
man.
did I get here?
Yeah.
But how did I give you? And I'm giving you the steps.
But who are you to say that?
This is if you put down your ego, if you put down your pride, brother, am I saying anything wrong? I'm saying men should be men.
But you
I
said
know
we
it's
Okay, so right here, it's interesting that he says this other dude isn't receiving the information because of his pride, right? His pride. I would argue that a big reason why men do not want women working and especially don't want them out earning them is because of ego and pride. Because of the man's ego and pride. Like if you really go back and look like early 1900s, where the man's identity was tied up in his job, they would literally get shamed if their wife or girl was out working, even if they needed the money.
Right.
So it's like many of these men that are I'm masculine, I'm alpha. You only want to control the finances because if you didn't, it would hurt your ego. It would hurt your pride. This isn't about her. This isn't about her staying home and you wanting to take care of her. This is about you being able to brag to other men and potentially pick up other women. That's what this is about. You want to feel like a man. And the way you feel like a man is paying the bills. It's for you and your ego and to satisfy all of that. I mean, he's like, we need to be men. We need to be men. Okay. I'm gonna let you go.
What was that man back in the day? I like what you said. I think I'll add to it and just say, I think the other part of that was control of being able to tell the woman what to do, how to do things. Oh, you can't leave me because you ain't got no money. You ain't got no job. You ain't got no career. You ain't got no degree. You ain't got this. You ain't got that. And we can even go a step further and say, if they were quote unquote men, why would you put your wife in that place in the first place? Why would you put her in that position? Why would you find another woman and just leave her knowing that she ain't got those things? That ain't no man to me.
Well, here's the other thing, right, that people don't talk about that I think is interesting. Many of these same men will sit back and they'll talk about prenups and, oh, I need this money so that I can, I need this prenup so that if she leaves me, I can keep this money. But how much money did you lose out on all those years when she wasn't working? And I'm not saying she needs to work, but I'm saying if she wants to work and you're saying no, or you're saying don't pay any bills with your money, how much money did y'all lose all those years because you wanted her to stay home? Like this dude earlier in the video was talking about, when we were barely getting by, I had her staying home. Right. And of course, he's saying in the context of children, but if there were no children, it sounds like he would still want her to stay home and not work, even if she wanted to. But this is a dangerous message for Black men and Black families, Black women in particular, because we don't have the resources in many cases for a one-income household. Yes, there are going to be people that excel. Yes, there are going to be people that that have the grit and the tenacity to go out there and struggle for years and have a business that ultimately pays off. But everyone's not built like that. And to pretend that you're not a man if you're not built like that, that's crazy. Like let's get down to the numbers. A lot of these men talk about, oh, men are more logical than women. Men are supposed to operate from this logic. How does it logic from a financial perspective? If you're a young man, you're married, or you have a girl or whatever, and you're in your 20s, how does it logically, from a financial perspective, make sense for you to not have another person bringing in income when they want to work, and you paying all the bills and losing out on years of their income. Like, let's be real, because her sitting at home, not earning money, and y'all struggling, that's not helping her. That's just helping your ego. That's just helping you feel like a man. And that's the fundamental issue that I'm talking about tonight is if your manhood is tied up in your paycheck, that is a dangerous game to play because your paycheck can change. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a W-2 employee, your paycheck can change. And when it does, if it's so tied up in your masculinity, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Why do you think you see all these people jumping off of buildings when they lose their job, and you're like, why did they do that? Because that was their everything. You see millionaires, they have a bad year, they lose their money. Their life is over now because their identity was tied up in that lifestyle. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous. So, I mean, just it's not a smart strategy, especially like this kills me because I also hear I'm not spending all that money on a wedding. You know how much debt we're going to go to on that wedding? You won't spend all that money on a wedding, but then you want her to stay at home and not work and bring in income for how long? How much money do you think that's costing the family? Like, let's just do some math. Let's say that your income by itself took care of all the bills, right? Let's say you earn $50,000, $60,000 a year. Your income takes care of all the bills. Y'all can live. She wants to go to work, and you say, "Nah, I don't want you working. I'm the man of the house. I want to take care of all the bills." She wants to work. Let's say that she could go out and even make $30,000. That's a basic income, $30,000 a year. You can do that with a high school education. This is assuming she's not college educated. In the case that she is, she could get more. But let's just say $30,000. If she worked for 5 years, making $30,000 a year, and saved just half of that, right? Which she should theoretically be saving all of it because you're paying all the bills. But let's say that she just went and spent half of it on whatever, purses, clothes, Temu, Shein, all this other stuff. $15,000 over 5 years. That's $15,000, $30,000, $45,000, $60,000, $75,000 in 5 years. If you took that $75,000 and put it in an index fund or just let it sit, that would be a large sum in y'all's retirement. Just that amount. That could be the college fund for your children. Right. So there's so many things that could go. That could be daycare money for when y'all decide to have children if you don't have any already. There's so many advantages to splitting bills, especially early on. There's way more advantages. Like 2 income households on average make more than 1 income household. So this idea that you're not a man if you don't subscribe to the financial advice of people who want you to tie your masculinity up in your paycheck, it's not good advice. Not good advice. All right. Little plug right here. There is new merch available. You can click the link in the comments. Check out the new merch. You have anything to add to that before I continue on with the video?
Nah, you hit it right on the head.
All right, let's go.
Not me. You saying we not
brother. Any man that makes an excuse can't be a man completely. You can be a male. A man comes with responsibilities, and it's hard. To be a man, it's hard, brother. It's not easy. That's why the respect you want from your woman that you don't get, I get from mine.
My woman respect me.
Hold on.
My woman respect me.
You think she respects
My
you?
woman respect me.
You think she respects you?
Brother.
You think she has she ever raised her voice at you?
No.
Does she cook for you every night?
Of
brother?
course.
So she respects you, cooks for you every night. Does she clean the house?
Of course.
He turned
She
it.
cleans the house, and you got her working 16 hours a day.
Hmm.
That sounds like slavery. This is if you put,
No, it's not.
brother, you got her cooking every night.
I don't have her doing anything. She does it because she wants to. We in the trenches together.
The trenches
Mm.
together.
That's what we in.
Brother, do you know anything about emotional abuse?
Explain it.
Emotional abuse is when you pour all your hurt and pain onto a woman, and just because you can't see her scars, you think it's okay. If I had a conversation with your woman, she'll probably start crying. They tired. They not built to go through what they're going through with you. She didn't choose you to struggle.
But again, who are you to say that?
Brother, a brother that loves you. And again, I'm trying to give you the cheat code. If you put yourself in a position, right? You work. If you have to get 2 jobs, you grind, allow your woman to do what she does in the home. If you have a business idea, you have her nurture that, hey, baby, it's going to be a little hard for the next 2 years. But if we move like this, we're going to be good. You keep saying,
Oh, it's not.
brother, who am I to tell you this? A man that's been in your position. A man that has risen above your circumstances. And I'm coming back down to say, this is what you do. You're not a man until you move like this. Most males will die, never experience what it feels to be a man and to be complete respected by his women and children because he didn't step into that true king place. Who am I to tell you?
Okay.
Buddy, crazy.
He just saying stuff at this point. Shout out, we got Mike. He says, I would say we all live and we all grow. We should all be learning every day. Whether or not you're married or dating, y'all should discuss who covers the bills or splits the bills and don't worry about what anyone else thinks. I mean, I agree because that's really what it comes down to is a conversation. It comes to like all of these generalities. You're not a man if you don't do this. You're not a man. Like there are people that, you're not a man if you cry. You're not a man if you hug your children. You're not, it's like you can't keep putting these things on masculinity and say you're not a man if you don't do these things, especially when we're talking about bills. If we just look at the median income, it's between like 48,000 and I think 52,000 in the Black community in particular, right? 48,000, that's the household income. That's 2 people working. That's the median household income. So to sit there and say all those men who make that money or less or whatever, and their woman is working, that they're not real men, you're not a real man. Like, you're not a real man. Money doesn't equal respect. I agree.
Elaborate. Why don't you think that?
Also, a woman can still pour into her man and keep a job.
Why don't you think money equals respect?
Well, I don't think money equals respect because I think respect is earned.
Okay.
And I think that money can enhance things, but fundamentally, if someone doesn't respect you, they don't respect you. And at a certain point, here's the thing. It's like, if you're all about the money, you hear it all the time. These famous people, their families can't stand them. Like these celebrities that people love so much, that y'all love so much, you love them more than their own family loves them. Literally, like they don't talk to their kids. They don't have a good relationship with their wife or their husband, but you love them because you saw them in power. You love them because you saw them on TV. But even in their real life, their family and stuff doesn't mess with them. Why? Because they thought that money equaled respect. They thought that that's what it equaled, and it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I think there has to be. Okay.
We'll push back and challenge you on that. Because I agree with
jaw.
I agree with that to an extent because it's about getting prepared. I agree with that to a certain extent, but I also think we have to consider that okay, we're married at this point. Let's just say we're married. I don't want to jump back to the relationship. Say we're married. At some point, if some of those things that I was paying for now rely on my wife to step up and take care of, she might view me in a different way because of the frustration and emotions that come with that. Because now it's like, oh, now I got to do this, this, and this. She might start viewing me a different way, which means the respect for me, it may not be as a man, but the respect for me as an individual is going to start going down. That's what has happened in plenty of marriages, relationships that we have today. And then I know somebody else that said that a woman can pour into her man and keep a job. Not necessarily all the time, because if you're working 8 hours, right? That's the average job, I would say. People work 8 hours. You're coming home. Maybe you have to cook and do all these things. Where do you have time for yourself, and where do you have time to pour into your man? Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't pour into a man. So those things are connected, and those are, people don't really see those that much. But again, I do agree. But at the same time, if I can't provide, is my woman going to think different of me? Is the respect for me going to go down because she has to float us for 4 months? You know what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on that?
I agree to a certain extent that she may not respect you, but I think it depends on why you don't have why you're not able to pay for the things you were once able to pay for. Is it because you went out and you were showing up late to your job and she kept telling you, hey, you need to get up, and like, why aren't you able to pay for the things you were once able to pay for? Also, did she forego some type of opportunity so that you could work, and she helped you and built you up in your career, and that was supposed to pay off, and you're not doing what you said you were going to do? It comes down to accountability and having these conversations, because I think, someone who is having a setback that's understandable is going to be a different situation where someone's been given opportunities and now y'all are both struggling because you made poor decisions, because you can't control your emotions at work and you mouthed off to your boss and now you got fired, and you've been saying you're going to work on your anger issues and now you don't have a job. That's a different situation than you were doing everything right and there were just layoffs. Those are different situations. It's different if you're starting a business and you know there's going to be a couple rough years and she has to hold things down for a certain amount of time, and you're trying and the effort. It just depends on the situation.
And I'm gonna push back on that. Even with all that, regardless of the situation, even now, if you're not showing up to your job and you late, hell yeah, disrespect his ass. Hey, lose that respect for him. But if you're doing everything you need to do, and again, we're talking about marriage. If I said I'm gonna be with you for better, for worse, by your side, whatever, why are they letting those emotions get to them and letting that respect go down of how they view their partner? We know troubled times are gonna come. So why a problem?
In that situation, I think that we can get used to a certain lifestyle. Like if you've been taking care of this person for years, I think that at some point you told them, hey, look, I got this. And regardless of the reason you no longer have this, I don't want to hear that. That's how I operate. That's how I would think about it. That to me, that would be fair. If I'm telling you I got this and you holding down what you holding down, when you said you was taking care of the kids and the kids never went without a meal, the kids get to school, the kids are taken care of, you're holding up your end of the deal regardless. And I'm not supposed to be worried about this, but now you're making me worried about this for whatever reason, then just don't tell me you got it to begin with. I get, just don't tell me, don't get my hopes up, or don't say you have it when you don't. So I can understand why someone that's living like that, and then there's a sudden change, why they're now looking at it in a different way, because they didn't have to think about this and now they have to think about this. But again, it just depends on the situation. It depends on what's going on. Is it going to be respect that's lost? I don't know if it's necessarily respect that's lost, but it can introduce new dynamics that weren't there that can manifest themselves in a way that looks like it's because it's a loss of respect, but it could just be frustration. I didn't have to worry about this, and now I have to worry about this. I'm frustrated because my mind doesn't think like this because I've been taking care of this. Just like, you know, if I wake up tomorrow and all of the routes that I'm used to taking, there's a detour on them, and the GPS is telling me to keep going the way that's blocked off, I'm gonna be a little frustrated. Did I lose respect for, you know, like the roads or the city or my car? No, I'm just frustrated because there's a new situation that I now have to learn how to adapt to, and it may be stressful. So it's probably a bunch of other stuff too.
Let me ask you this.
Circumstances do change, yes, but it also depends on the woman you choose. If a woman is with you, then for the money, then yeah. And then she will lose respect.
I think it's both though. I think, but then let's be logical here. Money does make people attractive. You being financially stable is attractive. I'm gonna
go on like a minute and a half little rant. I'm gonna go pee.
This guy, how you gonna pee in the middle of a podcast? Yo,
it's gonna be on your face. Watch.
This is crazy, bro. This is crazy. Somebody get this man a medal. Get him a medal. I believe, and he'll come back and he'll chat it up. I think money makes people attractive, and I think that having somebody financially stable makes them attractive. And I think money plays a role, even if it dries out, right? Because some of the comments have said, "What do you have left?" You might not have anything because now you're struggling. Now you're losing your house, your cars, whatever you got, and now you're not going to be focused on the love that you guys have. Focus on building that, because now you're going to have to focus on getting out of debt, bankruptcy, whatever the case may be. So I think we have to throw some of those ideas out of like, well, if she's with you for the money, she's with you for the money. Yeah, she'll lose respect. But I think women who aren't with somebody for the money, they experience the same things. Because one of those things about that person was them being financially stable was attractive to them. That's what attracted it to them. You're not going to be with somebody who's not financially stable. Let's be real. You don't want to get in a relationship with somebody who ain't going to keep their finances together, because then you're going to dry yourself out. You're going to dry yourself out trying to keep them afloat. So to say it's circumstantial, oof. It's both. It's not going to matter, because money makes the world go around, and you have to have money in order to have the things that you want. You may not place as much value on it, but you will lose other things because of not having money. So let me ask you this, since you're back from pissing. If, let's just say, I'm not going to put your business out there, but let's say you have a wife, right? And tomorrow, tomorrow, and you got kids. Tomorrow, your job just crashes. They lay everybody off. You can't get a job, right? Don't got no money saved up. Your wife hasn't been working. She's selling at the crib. Y'all broke, lose your house, lose your car. Do you think that she would still have the same amount of love for you and the feelings for you, being dead broke and not having any money and still struggling? Or do you think her focus would change to, I got to make some money because we're broke and I can't love you like this? Should somebody love you broke?
Should somebody love me broke? I mean, I love myself broke, but
I'm
sorry, you're saying somebody else.
Yeah, you're married.
Okay.
Lose
Should
everything.
Somebody else love me broke? In that specific situation you gave, I don't think the love would disappear, but I think that there would be a certain level of stress, and rightfully so, because I do believe that you have to be accountable to what you say. And if I said I was going to take care of these bills, and I said I was going to take care of these things, and I didn't do it for whatever reason, then I can understand why a person would not trust me anymore or would be stressful, because I would be like that. It's like, you can't expect someone to be unreasonable. You can't expect somebody to look at an 18-wheeler coming out the car and not turn the car or try to get away. Even if like, you can't do that. If you tell me you have a driver's license and can drive, and I get in the car with you and you're always almost getting in accidents, I don't trust you driving anymore. And that's what comes with being in the driver's seat. So it's like, let's see. It says, being broke and being in love is okay. True love doesn't have a price tag. I agree. I mean, I agree that true love doesn't have a price tag. That's why I'm not relating it to love. I'm relating it to, are you doing what you said you were going to do? And sometimes maybe you're not. And that's okay. If you're with the right partner, they're going to be as understanding as possible. And they're going to help you through that phase or whatever. But at the end of the day, in the situation that you gave, if someone is depending on you, you have to follow through. And if you don't follow through, you have to take accountability for what comes with that. Whether that's them losing respect for you, whether that's them thinking of you differently, and they should think of you differently if you didn't do what you said you were going to do, regardless of what the circumstances were or what the circumstances are, because that's how you get results in life. It'd be nice if we can just tell people that we're going to perform and we're going to do something, and then we don't do it, and they can just still feel the exact same way and not have any animosity or not have any stress or not have any worries in their mind. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Right? It just doesn't. If you took your money to a bank and it says you got $10,000 in the bank, and they make a mistake and then they take out $5,000, you're not going to want to go to bank with them no more. I don't give a damn if your mama running the bank. That's your money. Like, there's nothing wrong with holding people accountable. So did that answer the question?
Yeah, no, I just wondered. Got a lot of comments, and,
Still get out there and grind, no.
Yeah.
Circumstances change. If a woman is with you for the money, then she will lose respect. But a real woman who loves you and respects you outside of the money will stick by you. Not saying that it won't be challenging and stressful, but a real woman should not lose respect for her man. Yes, we all want a man who's financially stable, but life happens and circumstances happen. So I'm going to push back on this a little bit because of the phrase real woman. I don't think that there's anything wrong with a woman expecting a man to pay all of the bills. I think that's something that you find out when you're dating or whatever. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I don't think that it's wrong if a woman expects a man to pay all the bills, and I don't think it's wrong if a man expects some help from the woman. I don't think it's wrong if the woman pays more bills and the man stays home with the children. I don't think any of it's wrong. It just depends on the relationship. So there's very few things where it's going to be like, this makes you a real woman or this makes you a real man. Like some women, that's their motto. Like they've positioned themselves to be like, okay, I'm going to be the best wife and that's what I'm going to focus on. Right? I'm going to be the best wife and that's what I'm going to focus on. I got all of this, and you come home and it's heaven. It's heaven on earth. And then there's other women where it's like they bring in some of the money. They're a little more stressed. It's not quite heaven. I mean, it's cool. It makes up for it because they're bringing in money. So it's like every situation is different. Some men want that stress, want that pressure. Some men don't want the pressure. So it's like I don't think that it makes you a real woman, or it doesn't make you a real woman if because, and it's interesting, some women, or particularly I think women with other women, they'll be like, she's a gold digger if a large part of why she's with him is the money. But I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it if that's the relationship that if that's the thing that she's put on him and he accepts it. I don't see anything wrong with that. Right. Says there isn't anything wrong with it, but it depends on the type of woman you want and choose. I agree with that. Preach, preacher. Yes, sir. Hallelujah. All right, what do you think? I know I said a lot.
No. I agree. I ain't got nothing to push back on.
That's new.
No, you said it. You're right.
So I want to move into entitlement because he said something.
Yeah.
That I want to push back on. He was talking about giving your wife and children the life they deserve, right? Give them the life they deserve. How does your wife and children deserve something they didn't work for? Like how is that possible? Like how can you deserve something that you didn't work for? So like it sounds cool to say,
right?
I want to give my wife and children the life that they deserve. Mm-hmm. But let's be real. You don't really deserve anything that you didn't work for and you didn't earn yourself. Nothing is owed to you, really. Like you're not entitled to anything. So to put that on the man and say, give them something that they deserve. They deserve it and they didn't work for it. What part of the game is that? How do you deserve, as a human being, how do you deserve something that you didn't work for? And how does another person, because if you deserve it, that means I owe you it. And if I owe you, that means that you've done something for it. What did you do? No, whatever I give my wife, whatever I give to my children, it's not because they deserve it. It's because I want to do it. And I've taken it upon myself to make it happen. But the moment I start, especially children, you start saying, you deserve this Xbox. You deserve this house. You don't deserve a damn thing. So you get out there and get it on your own. So do men owe their families?
I never thought about it like that. I think society has told us that we owe our families to have this luxury lifestyle. And again, it's tied to money. We gotta make all this money to buy all these things, and we forget to be a nurturer, to be a provider, to be a leader, because we're so focused on, well, I gotta make this money, and that's the only way I'm gonna be able to be a man. So, hey. Calm down, killers. Oh, you got 2 killers in the back. Sorry. Yeah, I think it's tied to what we said earlier about them tying it to their ego. So owing them, I don't know. I like the perspective that you gave. I ain't really thought about that much, but I think we emphasize on skills that people should already have and do. Like, oh, well, you make good grades in school. Here's an Xbox. Nah, you should already make good grades because you want to work hard. It shouldn't be tied to anything outside of that. Well, you cooked at home and you clean. Here's a new Birkin bag. You should know how to cook and clean and do that because that's survival. You want a clean house. That we build that entitlement because of those things. So now I like the perspective you gave though. You got too much pushback on that one.
All right.
How would you? So somebody said that's a crap perspective you have. You're not a man because you should give your family everything that they deserve. So do you think your wife should get things based off of cleaning the home, taking care of the kids, taking care of you, doing basic stuff, basic necessity stuff every day? Do you think that she deserves these luxurious things?
No. She doesn't.
This man, no. You're not a man.
I don't deserve them.
Yeah.
Like that's the misconception is she doesn't deserve them. I don't deserve them. You don't deserve anything that you didn't work for. But I think in marriage it could be, I could see the argument of, well, she did work for it because you guys are a team and you guys agreed that this is the setup and the money that comes into the household is both of y'all. So from that perspective, you know, my income is her income from that perspective. So it's not, the deserve part comes in at where it's like, what do we choose to spend our money on? If you deserve luxury things, then that means that you don't have to do anything for them. Something that you deserve is like, well, I don't want to say you don't have to do anything for them, but that means it's owed to you. And I don't think people are owed luxury items or really anything unless you've done something for it. So I don't feel pressure to go out and buy a big diamond ring. I don't feel pressure to go out and have the fanciest car or to buy her these new shoes or whatever else. I don't feel the pressure to do it. The things that I feel pressure to do are things where I have to put the pressure on myself because I'm trying to reach a new financial level. So I personally put the pressure on. But naturally in my own state, it's like, I'm just a cheap guy. I'm just a cheap guy. But now I'm at the stage in my life where I want to floss a little bit. I want to have options. I want to be able to say no and it not affect the money. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I want to be able to provide more for my family, not because they deserve it or because I owe them that, but because that's just a personal goal that I've set and that I'm going to accomplish. And if it doesn't happen, they'll still be straight because they're getting me. They're getting the lessons that I teach. They're getting the mindset. They're getting the drive. They're getting to be in my presence. And throughout my life, the people who have been in my presence, who have really focused on the substance of what I have to say and what I stand for, get a lot more than the money that they've borrowed or get a lot more than the money that I could offer them. So it's like, there are certain people where, yeah, maybe all they're good for is money. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people. And at a certain point, it's going to be like, hey, here's this money. Get away from me. It's like, here it is. Don't ask me for nothing else. I'd rather that be the case than just having to continue listening to this draining energy, right? So it's like, when we talk about money and what's deserved and owed, I'm already giving enough. I'm already giving enough. And not to sound arrogant and conceited or whatever, but it's like, when you know your value, you understand that, hey, a lot of these kids aren't getting this. A lot of these wives aren't getting this. So when you have a strong mental, you understand your value. You don't walk around with the inferiority complex. You don't walk around with your trauma on your shoulder, and you're able to be a man regardless of your paycheck. Then I think that's more valuable than the money. I whether I'm broke or I'm showing up with a pocket full of money, I'm showing up as Fitz. So it's like, some people are showing up as that $9.99 in their bank account. That some people showing up Friday as that overdraft fee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing up as Fitz, and that's what you get. You get Fitz. Broke, a lot of money.
This guy.
You getting Fitz.
Okay. Well said.
So I mean, yeah.
Well said. Okay.
I know I said it. Nah, just get all heated. For
The
no
only thing I
reason.
got to push back on is like it's not being conceited or arrogant. If somebody says you're conceited or arrogant, it's because they're insecure. Stand on your
Typically,
business, man. Don't
typically.
sugarcoat it for somebody else to feel better.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of that is stuff like money and stuff. It's cool. I am gonna get more of it. I do want more of it. But it doesn't make me a man. It doesn't make me a man. It doesn't make me not a man. Like my dad didn't have a lot of money, and I never looked at him as less of a man. And I made more than him, and it was never like I'm better than you or I'm more of a man than you are. And so it's like when you have respect for somebody, it's really not about the money. When you have respect from somebody or for somebody, it goes deeper than that. It's like that's why I can show up to my grandpa's house and still have respect for him because it's not about the money. You know, it's just it's not about the money. So yeah, you can definitely be a man and still have money, or you could definitely be a man and not have money. Like I think I told you this off camera. There was a conversation back. I was doing videos like a couple of years ago, and I was talking about growing up in poverty. And then I had a conversation with my dad about it. He didn't really know what poverty was. He was like, I had to look up what poverty is. Saw that poverty is where you grow up like, or you don't have a certain amount of money or whatever. And he was saying, he's never personally been in poverty. He was like, I wasn't in poverty. Y'all were, but I made enough to take care of myself. He was like, y'all were in poverty, but I could have taken care of myself. I made enough for me. So I personally wasn't in poverty. Y'all were. And so it's like I was thinking about like that is true. Like he wasn't in poverty. So it wasn't even on his mind. Like someone on the outside looking in might be, oh, they don't have a lot of money, but he's not even thinking about that. It's just like I could take care of me. And a lot of men in that situation where they don't have the money would have ran, right? But that's where character comes into play. Some like when you're that's why I say if you attach your manhood, your masculinity to the paycheck, it'll have you running and abandoning your kids when you don't have money versus staying in it when you don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me the man that leaves because he doesn't have any money is more of a man because he once had money than the man that stays when he doesn't have money? That's like being like, I'm a man, I protect my family. If you give me a sword and a weapon, and the moment they ain't got the sword and the weapon, they ain't no protector no more. Are you a protector or are you not? It's like if you a protector, these hands will do enough. I don't care what you got. I'm a protector.
Not for many.
So that's
Shout
the
out
way I
Big Rob. Shout out Big Rob. We just talked about Big Rob earlier. This is the first time you talking about him on the podcast. So shout out Big Rob.
You primed me.
Right? Shout out to Pops.
Let's see. Any more of this video?
Just a man that's been.
I don't think there's any more of this video. Do you have anything else to add? I think we kind of touched on everything that I had, like my notes and everything.
I'm so used to going to 3 hours. Where Jerry at?
We could, I mean, we could.
I think another piece that I was gonna probably talk about if we brought it up was, people have to learn how to challenge the definitions in their life that they talk about. What is a man? What do you think a man is? I haven't had a man in my life because I grew up with a single mom. So a lot of masculine type of ideas, beliefs, behaviors I've learned on my own that I feel like really fit who I am, right? And I think a lot of people keep going through life on autopilot and not really challenging what they want to be and how they want to set the example for their kids. Personally, and I'm glad you brought up the fighting thing. I think if you can't defend your family, you shouldn't have a family. I'm gonna be honest. If you can't defend your family, you shouldn't have a family. And that's just me. And I know people are going to give me some slack for it, but it's true. Because if somebody comes up and is able to threaten your family with no type of repercussion, no consequences, nothing, to me, you ain't a man. And I'm standing on that.
I'm gonna push back.
How?
I'm gonna put okay. I'm gonna push back. All right. Let's talk repercussions. Okay. Someone comes up, says something to your family.
Yep.
And that's what I'm taking what you're saying as.
Mm-hmm.
They say something, but they don't do anything. They just, your kid is ugly.
Anything. They do something, they put the hands on them, they say something, call your wife.
Well, those are different things. Like if you put your hands on somebody, that's different than just saying something.
Both. You gonna let somebody call your wife a bitch in public? Yeah, I ain't saying you gotta jump on them, but you know
that's what I'm talking about. It's like,
you know what I'm saying? Like confront that, say something.
Yeah, but that's not protecting them. No, it's not.
Why
that's
would you
putting them in danger? Because we can walk away. That's my ego. That's my ego. Because if I say something back and he pulls out a gun and starts shooting at us and one of them gets hit, was it worth it?
Why would you have a gun? You talk about not having anything on you. That's crazy.
I can walk. Okay, I have a gun and I shoot. Now I'm in court going back and forth fighting for my life when I could have just walked away.
But then you got to deal with the repercussions at home. Now your wife gonna feel like you to defend her.
That's where I think being a leader comes into place and saying, hey, look, it's not worth it. And you could be mad all you want, but it's not worth it. I'm not gonna sit here and get in a shootout because somebody called you a name.
We're not saying we talking about the average person. We're not talking about going
but
to
that you don't know what you don't. Some people are crazy. You don't know who you don't know who's on the other side of that. You don't know what.
That's making it too severe. I'm talking about just a little, like we had at the movies at one time.
That could have turned south.
I had a check buddy and told him to keep it moving.
You don't know that though. Like there's been plenty of situations that I've been in where it could have turned south. It's like you never know. You think that this person is a rational person who has things to lose and they would love to go home to their family. Some people don't care. Some people are in love with crazy and they're waiting for somebody to say something back to them so that they could go off. And I'm more of the mindset now. Like 10 years ago, I'm right there with you. You want to say something, I'm going to say something. You want to do this, I'm going to do this. But now it's like when you reach a certain level, you understand that there's certain problems that are just beneath you. When you're secure and that's an insecurity. He said something to me and now I have to say something back to him or I'm not a man. That's an insecurity. You could say whatever you want. You can call her something or whatever, and I'm going to analyze the situation. And if we can leave, I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Denver with my girl at the time, and it was nighttime, right? It was nighttime. We had just come out of like this concert thing. We're standing at the stoplight, like pushing the button. And as we were pushing the button, the light turns, or the light turns green to where we can walk across the crosswalk. At the other side of the crosswalk, there's a man, a white man on his bike, screaming the N-word at us. Never met this man, don't know this man, nothing. He's just screaming the N-word at the top of his lungs at us. It's like 11:30 midnight. So the light turns green and she starts walking now. She's not even paying attention. She starts walking across. I'm like, hey, we're not going over there. We're going to go this way. I could have crossed the street and confronted him. It's 11:30 at night. I can just go the other way and not have to deal with this and wonder what would be, or I can go across the street, fight this dude and be happy and have a story that I fought somebody who called us the N-word, it's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me because
interesting.
I already know how I get. And so when you understand who
you a dangerous
are,
man?
Huh?
You a dangerous man?
I am.
Okay.
I'm dangerous because I don't care. So I don't put myself in positions where that mentality is going to play to my disadvantage. So it's like I'll do what I have to do and then figure it out later. But I've adapted the mindset since I was younger because I've always been like this, where I'm willing to go as far as you're willing to go, and I'm willing to go further. If you want to say something to me, I'm gonna say something back to you. You're no better than me, all that other stuff. But there becomes a level that you reach, and it's very clear this isn't worth my time. This is I'm the fool here. This is no longer worth my time. When I was 12 and I had nothing else to do with, this was worth my time. This is fun. Oh, look at him. But I'm a grown man with a family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jeopardize all of that because you said words out your mouth.
Some people willing to die behind that, brother.
And I'm all for it if that's what they're willing to do, but that's not me. That ain't me. You not finna play me. I don't work too hard to go to prison over some words.
Yeah.
And that's the way I'm gonna look at it. I done went too far now. I'm gonna make it worth it. Give me double life. Give me double life. I done went too far now. Yeah. It's like, no, I can't be sitting in a cell somewhere like, yeah, that was worth it. Nah. So I know how to handle myself in those situations. So it's like, when we talk about protecting your family, I think one of the best things you can do to protect your family is exercise self-control. Understand the situation that you're in. Because you may be able to run if something happens, but can they? Can they get away fast enough? They may get the better of you and knock you out, and then there your family is, like, unprotected.
Right? I don't know. Depends on the people. Depends on how prepared you are for life. So I just asked because it happened to me in public. I was at a basketball game with a girl I was dating at the time, and her brother was playing in the game, and some guys were there and just running their mouth the whole time. And I'm with her family at the time. Family just flew in, all types of stuff. And we're sitting there, and everybody's getting into the game, and she's cheering for the other team, and out of nowhere, this guy's in the background. He's probably sitting right on the left side of us, behind us, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch." And I turn around, I'm like, and I had to catch myself because I'm thinking, who is he talking to? And then he said it again, and then she started running, she turned around and said something to him. And then at that moment, it was kind of like, there was no need, there was no like decision of like, oh, okay, this is what can happen. I already had analyzed the situation, stood up, took my jacket off, and was like, who do you think you're talking to? Because what you're not going to do is disrespect her, me, and her family when we're sitting right here. And then, he's rah-rah in the mouth. I was like, I ain't doing no talking. What you want to do? So, long story short, he eventually got kicked out because the people came and chatted with me, handled the situation. But that's why I asked, because that could have went left for sure. But I think I exercise self-control, but I ain't gonna let nobody try to perceive as a threat. Because if you perceive as a threat, I'm gonna have to eliminate that threat in whatever way possible.
So I'll share this video. I think I might have showed you this before.
This guy, it's your guy right there, the porter of Andrew Tate.
My life's been cool. Back around the same time, I'm 22, 23 years old, kickboxer. I was British champion. I wasn't world champion at the time. It was 4 a.m. The club just ended. I was in a chicken and chip shop. It's an English thing. They sell like fries and fried chicken, and they're open
Nando's?
24 hours. Like, yeah, something like that.
Mhm.
And there's a long line. An Audi with tinted windows pulls up. These 3 big black guys get out, push it straight in front of the whole line, go straight up to the front, cut in front of 5 people, and start ordering. My girl goes to me, we've been waiting here ages. I said, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. She goes, you're just going to let them push in? I said, shut the fuck up. So I made her be quiet, right? Anyway, the man two in front of me, not this guy, the guy here, he couldn't tell his bitch to shut up. She's like, excuse me, there's a line. And the guy turns around and goes, you think I don't see the fucking line? I don't care about a fucking line. So she starts running her mouth. Bro, this dude knocked her the fuck out. Whack, clean, out cold. By the time her man looked at her and looked back up, boom, sparked, done.
Whoa.
Both of them. And I stood there and watched both of them just laid out clean. 3 dudes didn't even, fatalities, bro. It was, I wouldn't be surprised if they both have permanent damage. It was bad. The 3 dudes who ordered the chicken and chips didn't even take their food. They started laughing, walked back out, got in the car. And I turned around and said to my girl, you see, some people are just ready to fucking go to jail. Some people are ready to kill people over fucking nothing. You want me to fight? Oh, yeah, I can fight. But what am I fighting these 3 dudes for? What, fries?
Yeah.
What, fries and a 10-minute delay?
Damn.
Man, and this is what bitches will get you into this shit. Bitches will get you into this shit fast. And that's why when I see dudes saying, oh, yeah, she's just my friend, you're hanging around with girls and they're not even giving you pussy and they might get your ass killed.
Yo. Hey, he reaching for that one, boy.
Hey, what do you mean he reaching?
I mean, I think to that extent, like, if I'm in line, somebody comes in and intentionally bumps my girl to where she falls, hits her head, whatever.
Well, they didn't bump her.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna trip about that. That's little. I'm talking about somebody just.
But listen to what you said. Listen to what you said. You were at the game, right? And your girl was like, she's the one that initiated with them. We said something to them.
Right. And
then you had to get involved. That's what happened in this situation.
I was gonna get involved regardless. It wasn't gonna matter.
So
that was just her knee-jerk response. And then I told her to relax and then I handled it. But that situation, I mean, I'm not gonna trip about somebody cutting the line. It's not really that big of a deal.
But he didn't. He's just saying his girl wanted him to.
Well, the girl I was with wouldn't say something either. But if they came in and we were in line about to go up next and they buffed us, then I might, hey, watch where you going. Respect people, respect people's space and have some manners. And then if they feel like they froggy and well, who the are you, okay.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
in my head, at that point in my head, it's gonna be like, okay, well, there's 2 choices for you. You either gonna get put on the ground or you gonna go to jail. Which one you want? It ain't gonna happen to me. At that point,
I'm just saying, think about your environment, think about your situation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Obviously,
sometimes the best way you can protect your family is just removing them and yourself from the situation.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how those situations will turn out. And it's like, at the end of the day, if you can get away, try to get away.
Yeah, I mean, if you could de-escalate. I was just throwing that out there because I heard that perspective this week, and I was like, yeah, I agree with that. If it comes to that point there, hey, me and my wife, we both jumping on you. We both up in that thing. That's it. Ain't no thing to it. There's somebody inclined type of thing. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there. I thought that was important because some people feel like if they can't protect their family, then they're not a man. So
I agree that you should at least want to, but it's like Kevin Hart said, if you with me and you get smacked, you just got smacked.
Hey, I ain't Kevin Hart, brother. That's why Cat Williams said what he said about him. That's why he said what he said. I'd rather have Cat Williams in my corner than Kevin Hart.
I threw that one out there for you. But you got anything else? We going on 2 hours.
Nah, that's it, man. Okay, we kind of hit it on the head. I think that it's different when you're not trolling and making up these lame excuses that people have made about what masculinity is and what it's supposed to look like and all those things. Specifically, this topic, we're talking about bills. people need to define what their lives look like, define the definitions that they're putting on themselves and putting on their wives and their kids, all those type of things. You guys need to figure those out and stop following the crowd. Well, I need this. No, you don't. No, you don't. Be realistic with yourself. Have a budget. Learn who's going to pay what bills. Don't let outside advice come in, especially people who don't have kids or who don't have a wife or a husband. Stop listening to them. Stop letting them talk about things like that with you, because they ain't got none of it. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Tired of hearing that stuff. You need to go to people who have a successful marriage, relationship, because they're going to tell you the challenges and what you need to do to be ready for those things. Don't come in a relationship with other ideas that aren't yours. Go to somebody who has done this. And they could be somebody who's failed too. I think that's important to learn those lessons. Shout out Big Rob. Learn those lessons to be able to have a successful relationship, marriage, whatever. A lot of this is a fad.
We got Chewy in the building. A lot of this is a fad of masculinity. You trying to come up, Chewy? You trying to come up? There's a link in the comment section if you're trying to come up. Click
fad of masculinity.
Shout out to Chewy. He be in the comments holding it down. I be reading them comments. Chewy be holding it down in the comment section.
He trying to say what we saying is a fad of masculinity.
A lot of this is a fad of masculinity. I think it's what he's saying is a lot of what you see online is a fad.
Okay.
Like men have to pay 100% of the bills. Men have to do all these other things. An idealized version that has little context from one generations. Yeah, I mean, it does lack context, and a lot of it is just
it's a Eurocentric mindset, really.
Well, I wouldn't even consider it a Eurocentric mindset, because a lot of this is just because of social media. A lot of this, like I was saying,
that's where it stems from. What I'm saying. That's where it stems from.
From you're saying this is how
back in the times when it stems from that and just has evolved into what we have now.
But they didn't even live like that.
They did.
When? Dad paying 100% of the bills?
Yeah, they did that back in the day. Yeah. Leading up until, let's see, probably started where early mid 1800s, and from that point went on. I think it developed more in the 1900s, and that's where it stems from, is having that control over your woman. I think that's where it stems. Because if you think about before colonization, everybody had a job and a role. It wasn't like, oh, well, I got to stay home and collect this, and this. It was, this is the dynamic of the family, and this is how we're going to be able to survive. It wasn't until they brought that over here, the idea of, well, your woman has to stay home and I'm working. You're a weak woman. You got to stay home and cook and clean. Which I was giving that context before you went in.
But a lot of those things, even back then, the staying home now is different than staying home then. They weren't staying home with a washer machine. They weren't staying home with a dishwasher. They was down by the river scrubbing, or they had a bucket full of water and they were scrubbing the clothes to get, like, they were still doing labor work. It wasn't like it wasn't like people portray it as she's staying home and she's just chilling and I'm just out here taking up. Nah, she working too in the house. She getting down. She probably doing more laborious things back then than many men are doing today.
Ooh, don't do that. It's an attack on masculinity.
That's what it is.
Don't do that.
That's what it is.
Chewy coming up. You coming up, Chewy? What's up?
The link is in the comment section.
That's for anybody. Anybody in the comments, they can come up.
Oh, that's the wrong link.
Say a piece if they got a piece to say.
Link is in the comment section. If not, we're probably going to head out. Just want to give people time to come up. You don't have to be on camera. It could just be your voice. But yeah, I mean, when I look at a lot of this content centered around relationships, a lot of it is just for clicks and views. Like I remember, especially with Fresh and Fit, with Fresh and Fit, where I lost a little bit of respect for them was when their channel got demonetized and the dude got on the podcast and started crying. Like their podcast was demonetized. And he got the podcast and started crying. And he was like, because he used to have a government job where he was working as like a Fed or something like that. Border Patrol or something like that. DEA, and I almost said DEA. And he was like, I love my job saving children from human trafficking, but I love saving y'all even more.
Yo, what the hell?
Yeah,
what the hell type of saying is that?
But then when you watch his podcast where he has women on, he's sitting here talking about how men shouldn't cry and men should be emotionless, and you're not a real man if you do this. Like, you're not even living how you talk about in the podcast.
You're broke.
The media are merchants of hate that monetize sensationalized ideas. The internet amplifies it. I agree. The internet does amplify. I mean, to some level, I'm sure we're amplifying something that someone would consider negative. But understand this, like, if you dig into the background of a lot of these influencers, what you'll see is that they were nothing before their channel started. And then they start getting a little buzz off of the content, and then they make it seem like I've been like this the whole time, or they're like a liar, a compulsive liar, who now they start to live the lie. They've told the lie so long that they believe the lie, and that's what a lot of these content creators get into. Like, people have talked to me all the time and said, "Hey, you're multi-talented. You can do all of this content. Why don't you just make this type of content? Like, not whatever, but just saying whatever type of content we're talking about. Why don't you just go on and talk negative all the time? Or why don't you just get on and talk reckless? You could do it and you can make money." But I've always lived by the philosophy, what you do to get something, you're either going to have to do that or more to keep it. And so I don't want to do something or attain something in a certain way that I'm not willing to keep going in order to get something. Like, I've known how to take shortcuts. I've known how to go against my values and stuff like that to get ahead. And I'm not really interested. I get annoyed too fast. I'm just like, I don't have the personality for it.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yes, Hersky.
All right. Looks like we're going to close up shop. If y'all have not went and checked out the merch store, make sure you go check out the merch store. You can find the information in the comment section and the description section. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next week. I'm Fitz.
Bye.
Find me on Instagram at Real Coach Fitz on Instagram. And this is the Let's Argue podcast. Make sure you go check out some of the skits too I've been doing. Go check out some of the skits. Pretty funny. Chewy saying bye. Thank you for the support, Chewy. Thank you for the support, everyone else that has been watching. Definitely helps the channel. The comments help the channel. The likes, the subscribes, all that help the channel. And yep, only direction we're going is up.
One last thing. If you're cooking at home, you're broke. You're not a man. That's Let's Argue podcast. We out of here.
Peace.